Look, something is happening right now. Something genuinely wild. And honestly, it's making pretty much every employee of every space agency on this planet nervous, and for good reason. We've got an object out there, we call it 3I Atlas. It's the third confirmed visitor from interstellar space, not from our solar system. Okay, so it came from out there and it just did something that no one thought was physically possible for an ordinary piece of rock. It changed course. And I'm not talking about some tiny deflection from Jupiter's gravity or, gas venting. No, this was a maneuver that, from the standpoint of physics, straight up violates the laws of celestial mechanics. It's insane. For the first time in history, IAWN, that's the International Asteroid Warning Network, the serious guys operating under the UN, started active tracking of an object from another star system. Before this, they only monitored local asteroids. But now, why this one? Why did this object cause such an uproar? The answer is honestly terrifying. The data shows that Atlas is not where it's supposed to be according to JPL, the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. Its position contradicts every orbital model we've got. It breaks the fundamental rules of physics. You see, if an object is changing its trajectory with no visible external force, especially near the sun, then we have to consider the possibility that this isn't just an anomaly. It's entirely possible we're witnessing a deliberate, intelligent action. Think about that.
IWN is a major coalition that includes NASA and China's Purple Mountain Observatory. Their primary mission has always been monitoring internal threats within the solar system. And then, suddenly, at the end of October 2025, they release an unexpected statement. The object known as Atlas is being placed under official surveillance. The formal reason sounds dry and technical, improving astrometric precision. But the timing is far too suspicious. Just days earlier, Atlas had slipped behind the sun, disappearing from all ground-based instruments. And precisely during that window of invisibility, it altered its trajectory. Astronomers detected the anomaly immediately after it emerged from behind the solar disk. If my suspicions are correct, the Fermi paradox may have just gained a new interpretation. Humanity might need to prepare. According to calculations, the object was supposed to reappear along a perfectly predictable path. Instead, the math simply stopped matching the observations. Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb, creator of the so-called Loeb scale, had previously estimated the probability of artificial origin for 3ATC at 4 out of 10. After the new deviations were detected, the International Asteroid Warning Network quietly upgraded the object's priority level. Hundreds of telescopes worldwide were redirected, as if Earth were silently preparing for something the public was not supposed to notice. The first serious confirmation came from an independent group called Earth Exists, a small but highly respected scientific collective. By comparing real-time telescope data with predictions from JPL's Horizon system, they uncovered results that instantly detonated across the scientific community. 3 ATC had deviated not by hundreds, but by over 1 million kilometers, roughly 3 times the distance from Earth to the Moon. And the displacement was not random. The distance to the object remained constant, but its position on the sky shifted sideways, as though it had executed a controlled lateral maneuver. Such behavior directly contradicts the laws of orbital dynamics. Yes, comets can speed up or slow down due to gas jets acting as natural thrusters, but they cannot move sideways. Performing such a maneuver would require an enormous external force or an internal power source. Not even the massive and highly active Hale-Bopp comet could have produced anything comparable. Nonetheless, 3 Atlas somehow did. If the course was changed intentionally, someone should have noticed sooner, which is why attention shifted to NASA and JPL. Back in September, NASA's Mars-orbiting spacecraft were in an ideal position to photograph the object during its passage near the Sun, but none of those images were ever released. Not one. The official explanation is that the data is still under processing, but many experts suspect deliberate withholding. If the photos revealed geometric structures or anomalous light behavior, NASA would have every motive to delay publication. Loeb noted in one of his recent papers that 3 Atlas displayed an anti-tail, a jet pointing toward the sun, an extremely rare phenomenon in cometary behavior. But then, after passing by Mars, the tail abruptly flipped and began pointing in the opposite direction, as if the object had reoriented itself in space. No known comet has ever reversed its jets that cleanly or sharply, and yet NASA continues to insist this is routine cometary activity. But that raises a valid question. If this is so routine, why is the Global Planetary Defense Network involved? By late October, new observations confirmed the worst fears. The deviation was real and significant within just 19 hours. The positional discrepancy grew by more than 4 arcminutes, hundreds of thousands of kilometers in real space. According to orbital analysts, sustaining such a drift would require a lateral velocity of roughly 4 kilometers per second, comparable to the thrust of some of our own deep space probes. The scientific community exploded with theories. Some argued for extreme outgassing. Others blamed solar wind. But the solar wind does not produce lateral maneuvers. If the data is accurate, 3I Atlas must possess a propulsion system capable of prolonged, precise acceleration and controlled maneuvering. Meanwhile, a training seminar by the International Asteroid Warning Network, dedicated to tracking unpredictable comet behavior, filled to capacity within hours. Behind the scenes, NASA's Planetary Defense Office quietly raised its monitoring level to 1 normally reserved for truly hazardous near-Earth objects. The irony is that the object was not approaching Earth at all. It was moving away. So, why treat it as a potential threat? One theory suggests concern not about its present course, but its future maneuvers. And indeed, just as scientists began thinking the anomalous movement had stabilized, 3 ATC shifted course again. This time, it wasn't a minor deviation, but a deliberate trajectory correction. Observatories in Chile, Spain, and Japan simultaneously recorded a second deviation, smaller than the first, but perfectly aligned with the earlier direction, as if the object were fine-tuning its route. This was no random drift. The maneuver was precise, symmetrical, technical, exactly how an automated spacecraft adjusts navigation. The warning network flagged the event as recognition of a non-natural pattern, a label used when an object's movement matches none of the known natural processes. Almost simultaneously, the European Mission Operations Center sent out an encrypted notice. It stated that 3 ATC was exhibiting acceleration with no gravitational explanation. In simpler terms, the object had activated something. When the infrared spectral analysis from the Very Large Telescope was completed, it revealed a sharp thermal spike, exactly 12 minutes of activity, followed by instant cooling. It looked like the signature of an engine. Impulse burn shutdown. Whatever 3 ATC was, it had just confirmed that it could propel itself. The publication of these findings triggered immediate responses across all space agencies. NASA doubled its observation schedule. China activated the U-22 radio array, normally reserved for lunar missions, to listen toward the object. The European Space Agency initiated planetary defense emergency protocols, procedures typically used only when facing an imminent Earth impact threat. Officially, it was all for coordination. Unofficially, it was panic. Caltech and University of Tokyo teams compared the thermal signature to known propulsion types. The results were alarming. The emission matched neither chemical nor ion drives. Instead, it resembled magnetohydrodynamic acceleration, a technology humanity has only theorized for interstellar travel. And it wasn't just the thrust. The object's previously stable rotation began oscillating, with harmonics at a 247-second period. Initially written off as tumbling, the perfect repeatability said otherwise. It looked as if the object were transmitting information through motion. Subsequent detections forced the warning network to expand its protocols. What started as scientific collaboration turned into something that operated like a military command center. The updated trajectory pointed toward the outer planets. The course intersected Jupiter's orbit. Calculations suggested that within months, the object would be nearly inside Jupiter's magnetosphere, a region of colossal energy potential that if this was coincidence, it was extraordinary. If not, the object was preparing for a gravitational maneuver. The same technique spacecraft used to change direction and gain speed. By this point, global monitoring had escalated to NASA's contingency level. The object was maneuvering deliberately and becoming harder to predict. Then something new, and even more disturbing, occurred. Earth's observatories began detecting synchronization of radio noise with the 247-second rotational impulse of 3 ATC. Earth itself seemed to be falling into resonance with the object, and then, without warning, data from every telescope tracking it went dark within 10 minutes. Hawaii, Chile, Italy, South Africa all went offline. Deep space communication networks failed. Even China's antennas reported total silence across multiple bands. 47 minutes later, the systems came back, and everything pointed to one conclusion. 3 Atlas was gone, not destroyed, not hidden behind a star, simply missing from all coordinates. Only a faint low-frequency pulse remained, repeating every 247 seconds. At first, it was considered background noise, but the synchronization was perfect. The signal appeared to mirror the object's last known rotational frequency. The International Warning Network classified the event as an interstellar signal anomaly and locked down access. But a leak slipped through during the blackout. Instruments captured a narrow flash aligned exactly along Jupiter's orbital path. Point 3. ATC hadn't vanished, it had moved. What followed was chaos in the scientific world. NASA and other agencies issued no statements. China wiped its archives and published a single line. Anomaly tracking discontinued. Object unavailable. For a week, nothing, until the James Webb Space Telescope detected a faint glint, racing at impossible speed beyond Jupiter's orbit. Analysts compared the data to celestial mechanics and were stunned. The object wasn't slowing or drifting. It had shifted as if its velocity vector had changed instantaneously, faster than light would allow. Impossible. While researchers debated faulty sensors, a second confirmation arrived. The Gaia Observatory detected an identical signal exactly 247 seconds later, same interval, same precision. The impulse appeared to hop, copying the object through space-time. Each detection grew stronger. It became clear. 3. Atlas had learned to use gravity as a corridor, moving through the structure of space itself. Then the most alarming discovery came. The Mission Control Center in Vienna received an omega-level transmission, a reconstructed fragment from the 47-minute blackout. Hidden within the network was a binary signal synchronized with the 247-second rhythm. After decoding, it turned out to be coordinates, not spatial, but temporal. The spatial point matched Jupiter's orbit, but the timestamp pointed 6 years into the future. At first, it was dismissed as an error, but further computation confirmed it. The coordinates were meant not for Jupiter, but for Earth. It was a marker, indicating where 3 ATC would intersect Earth's orbital plane in 2031. The object had not left the solar system. It had scheduled a return. The file was sealed under Level 10 protocols, the highest category of civilization-scale threat. Agencies denied its existence. But 3 months later, amateur astronomers in Australia detected the same 247-second pulse, now emanating from the inner asteroid belt. The signal wasn't fading. It was approaching. After that, the warning network vanished from public access. Archives, feeds, observations erased. The official reason was restructuring. Insiders, however, spoke of a secret autonomous monitoring system called Project Helios. Its purpose, to track whatever 3 Atlas had become, and to prepare for its return, because perhaps it never left the system. Perhaps it was mapping our gravity, our orbit, our rhythm. Perhaps it was waiting for alignment. Now the faint 247-second pulse continues to echo across the solar system. Barely detectable, but always present. A reminder that the story is not over. The world has stopped talking about 3 Atlas, but the universe hasn't. And now the questions reach far beyond physics. When science fails to explain, people turn to belief. Nearly every ancient tradition describes celestial signs, stars behaving unnaturally, heralding eras of change. What if 3 Atlas is not just a machine of an alien civilization, but something our ancestors would have called a messenger? Theologians already debate what a mind capable of bending space and time means for divine design. That if the object returns in 2031 and makes contact, it will test the faith of billions. Will it be seen as an angel, a demon, a harbinger, a miracle, a beginning, or an end? Even the name Atlas evokes myth. The titan holding up the heavens that a return scheduled 6 years in advance feels like a myth of fate made real. Humanity has always searched the sky for answers, protection, warnings, signs, and perhaps this quiet 247-second pulse is a new kind of challenge. One we have yet to meet. So if all of this makes you wonder what exactly moves out there in the dark, and what kind of intelligence can guide such an object, don't look away. Watch for updates, because when Atlas returns, it may not simply fly past. It may be coming back to where it believes home is.